I learned that my younger sister was getting married through a social media post from a complete stranger at 6 in the morning. My combat boots were still damp from a high-level military briefing, yet my family had completely erased my existence from their lives. Seeing her radiant, picture while sitting alone in my dark apartment, felt colder than any dangerous mission I had ever survived. For years, I served as a high-ranking tactical officer, sacrificing personal comfort and family relationships for classified assignments across the globe. My relatives interpreted my necessary secrecy as emotional distance, gradually removing my presence from every family gathering and holiday photograph. They treated me like an embarrassing memory rather than a living relative. Yet I never expected them to plan a grand wedding without telling me. When a formal invitation arrived by courier hours later, it felt more like an afterthought than a genuine gesture of love. My name was not even written on the fine envelope. Only a strict note instructing me to dress in plain gray tones so I would not ruin the photos. My mother sent a brief text message reminding me to act like a polite guest, proving that my relatives viewed me as a liability. I drove 4 long hours through upstate mountain roads to reach the lavish estate where the celebration was taking place. Walking inside the grand stone gates felt like stepping directly into an enemy compound, surrounded by wealthy guests dressed in tailored clothing. When I approached the main registration desk, the event staff could not even find my name on the guest list, exposing how deeply my family wanted me hidden away. The staff eventually ushered me toward a cramped overflow alcove tucked far behind the main ballroom seating area. My mother walked past me without making direct eye contact, only pausing to approve of my subdued outfit before returning to her wealthy social circle. My father gave a brief nod as if acknowledging a stranger, while my sister drifted past in her imported silk dress. Without saying a single word to me, sitting on a cold folding chair near the exit, I felt the familiar sting of emotional isolation creeping over me. However, my tactical training quickly took over when I noticed subtle anomalies among the event staff and audio technicians. A waiter in a formal uniform moved with distinct military precision, carrying an electronic device that had no logical reason to be present at a high society wedding reception. That waiter was actually Lawson, a trusted tactical ally who had served alongside me during covert operations years ago. He quietly pulled me into a secluded hallway, warning me that encrypted signals were bouncing through the wedding venue sound system. Someone was using the audio setup to broadcast classified military data, using the high-profile celebration of my sister as a cover for a massive intelligence breach. Using a hidden handheld scanner, I traced the digital transmission directly to the custom wedding dress my sister was wearing. Hidden deep within the inner lining was a microtransmitter designed to gather and relay sensitive information to an external server. The mastermind behind this operation was General Sterling, the corrupt official who had framed me years ago and destroyed my career to cover up his own treason. I slipped quietly into the private dressing room, where my sister was adjusting her long veil before the ceremony. When I confronted her about the hidden device inside her dress, she initially reacted with a defensive anger, assuming I was trying to ruin her special moment. Her stubborn anger quickly turned to panic when I showed her the active transmitter glowing softly inside the hem of her expensive gown. My sister admitted that a wealthy corporate donor connected to General Sterling had gifted her the designer gown weeks earlier. She broke down in quiet tears, realizing that she was merely an innocent pawn in a dangerous plot designed to destroy my legacy and enrich corrupt officials. I removed the device immediately, promising her that I would protect her while finally exposing the men who had manipulated our family. During the official ceremony, guests gathered around the altar as the minister called for military veterans to stand and be honored. In the front row sat General Sterling, smiling smugly in his tailored suit while believing his secret operation was proceeding without any interference. Suddenly, Lawson stood up from his seat, turning deliberately toward the back row where I was sitting in total silence near the doorway. Lawson raised his hand into a sharp military salute aimed directly at me, his loud voice echoing across the silent hall as he called me Major General. Shockwaves rippled through the packed room as gasps filled the air, and my parents turned around in total disbelief. My mother looked as though she had seen a ghost, while my father stared at me with newfound shock and overwhelming shame. Before General Sterling could react, I activated the central media screens, overriding the wedding slideshow with unedited combat footage from our past operation. The entire room watched in stunned silence as video evidence proved Sterling had ordered troops to abandon civilians while framing me for his own catastrophic choices. The corrupt general stood up in panic, but Lawson and federal agents stepped forward to block every escape route. Federal officers handcuffed General Sterling right in front of the horrified audience, arresting him for treason, evidence tampering, and massive government fraud. The corrupt politician who had protected Sterling tried to slip away unnoticed, but journalists in attendance immediately captured his desperate attempt to escape public accountability. My family stood frozen as the entire room witnessed the undeniable truth about the daughter they had spent years hiding away. After the authorities removed the corrupt general, my sister walked toward me and pulled me into a tearful, long overdue embrace. She insisted on taking a new family photograph with me standing directly at the center, refusing to let our parents push me to the margins ever again. For the first time in my life, my father admitted his grave mistake, realizing that my long silence had been spent protecting innocent lives. The next morning, I sat at the kitchen table in my family house, feeling a strange sense of warmth and peaceful quiet return. My sister introduced me to the young niece of her new husband, who handed me a handcrafted flower pin, while thanking me for bringing her family home safely. Holding my warm coffee mug, I realized that I no longer needed to hide my identity or apologize for my past. A few weeks later, I stood before a crowded rotunda filled with young military officers to unveil a bronze memorial dedicated to our unit. My name was permanently carved into the stone alongside the brave soldiers who had served in silence for so many years. Standing beside Lawson and my sister, I felt the heavy burden of past betrayal lifted completely from my shoulders as the crowd stood in applause. They tried to erase my legacy and force me into the shadows, but truth has a way of breaking through the strongest walls. True honor is not measured by public praise or perfect social appearances, but by the courage to stand firm when everything around you collapses. When you fight for what is right, justice will always find its way into the light for everyone to see.